Hey, what's up? Welcome to the first edition of 5 Minutes of Management for the 2016 calendar year. As always, I'm Frank Kalman here with Rick Bell. Rick, did you have a good holiday?
No, I slept the whole time.
Slept the whole time? All right, awesome. Well, I had a good holiday.
Good.
I was just, dreaming of things we could talk about on this show.
I bet.
Pretty much the whole time. So, as you can imagine, we'll have a lot to chat about today. But if you guys are watching out there, you should definitely be registering for Workforce Live Spring 2016. We're coming to Boston on April 14th. We'll be in New York City on April 19th, and then we'll be in Washington, D.C. on April 28th. So if you're in any of those three cities, we just lined up a speaker in Boston today, Rick, from New Balance. So we've got a lot of cool speakers coming in. We got Foot Locker in New York. We've got tons of great speakers. It's going to be a blast. You guys should definitely be there. But otherwise, Rick, what do we got going on?
Well, Frank, it's January, and it's the season for performance reviews. Now,
True.
Some companies may do it at the end of the year, and God bless you because you're on top of it. A lot of companies do them in January, like us. We're going through our performance reviews right now. But again, this brings up the age-old discussion: the value of performance reviews. I see them as valuable just so long as there's consistent follow-up and that they're done well. So thoughts on it?
Well, it's definitely a divisive issue for sure. We've had plenty of speakers at our events, Workforce Live included, kind of give their talk about how they killed the annual performance review, and people usually give a standing ovation. And it's kind of a pipe dream for a lot of companies. It's something that's really hated, and I think the important thing is not necessarily the act of getting together once a year to discuss performance, but it's more about the nature and the substance of what happens in that conversation that people hate. They hate the fact that people are rated on a numeric scale. They hate, the rank and yank system that Jack Welch, famously implemented, where you rank everybody on a curve and you cut the bottom 10%. That sort of bureaucratic, part of the process is what people hated. But I think performance reviews done right can be a really useful tool. If they're qualitative, if they're frequent, if they're a back and forth with a manager and employee about real ways to improve their performance. I think those are the kind of things that are valuable. It's just companies need to find a good way to actually make sure those things happen.
Yeah, and a lot of employees do see it as just this. Oh my God, I have to deal with this so I can get my raise. And I think employers and managers need to get away from that and help their employees to get away from that mentality.
Yeah, and to be sure, there is an administrative, bureaucratic element to performance reviews that I think still need to happen. I mean, if you're a company of 100,000 employees, you still need to have some way, shape, or form to sort of, track and assign compensation, and the stack ranking process did that in a very clean, systemic way. And I think some of those elements aren't going to go away, but again, it's more of how can you create a system that addresses those administrative components, but also make sure that the conversation is beneficial in real terms. And I think, what we do here at Workforce's parent company, Human Capital Media, is probably a good happy medium. We have our annual performance review, which is a little bit more formal and addresses those things like compensation. But then we also have our quarterly check-in conversations, which are a little bit more laid back, a little bit more conversational. There's not a lot of grilling going on or anything like that. It's really just how can we become better and be better employees.
Right, and not tied to any forms or documents or anything. So that's what we do.
Truth.
Yes, truth.
All right. Well,
what else is up?
We got another cool story. Wearables in the workplace is kind of, it's a budding trend in some places. Our Workforce Focus event, we had Fitbit come and give everyone Fitbits, if I recall correctly. We've had Jawbone, the wearables company, speak at Workforce Live. They do a lot with having their workers wear the wearable technologies, and they track sleep and all that stuff, and they actually use it to manage their workforce. Well,
right. So I think what we're seeing is largely in the wellness community,
in the wellness space.
But you have.
But we have a story from the Wall Street Journal that talks about AIG, the big insurance firm, making an investment in a maker of wearable devices in order to monitor employee movements for those who work in manufacturing or warehouses or. And basically, AIG is making this bet that this is going to help reduce claims for workers' compensation, essentially, that they're hoping that these wearable devices that can be placed on employees who are working in semi-dangerous conditions will, help them avoid injuries. So you're saving lives potentially, and, AIG's hoping that this is going to save them a few bucks in workers' comp claims, which it should be pointed out, many employers, workers' comp is their largest insurance expense.
Oh, absolutely.
For the most part. So kind of an interesting play.
Yeah, it is. I mean, short of putting a chip in their neck or something. I guess this is one way to solve that problem. There's also all sorts of training methods that you can use to make sure workers stay safe. Now, I agree that on a warehouse floor, in a construction site, it's dangerous out there, and I give AIG credit for trying to keep their employees safe and to save themselves money. So I think it might be a little, because wearables are still a little bit dicey in the workplace. Maybe this is going to work, so we'll see.
Yeah, privacy concerns are always sort of the big critique, so we'll have to keep tabs on that.
Yes,
What else we got?
Well, Frank, it is the beginning of the year, but so we have a lot of predictions, forecasts for 2016. I can't tell you how many emails I got with predictions. Everything from business resolution for 2016, don't play it safe, to 10 roles a CEO must play in 2016. All you CEOs should pay attention. To make diversity and inclusion your New Year's resolution for a more successful 2016. To 2016 benefit must have financial education. So as you can see, Frank, people there's a lot of paper here and a lot of predictions. But I tell you, there was one. Let me get to it. The 6 ways to motivate employees and banish the post-holiday blues.
Wow.
There's all sorts of good ways, but mine was include staff in your vision. And I think that's a really valuable thing. It's like, if in fact, Talent Management, our sister publication, just did the story with SurveyMonkey, correct?
Yep.
About including their employees in collaborating and in finding their new space.
Yeah, to build the office.
Yeah, so I thought that was A, an excellent story, and B, I thought it was just a genius idea. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think, whenever you have an opportunity to pull employees into the process, I think that creates a sense of ownership among, employees, and they tend to want to work more for that. If they have skin in the game, I feel like people kind of want to contribute, and we talk a lot about employee engagement, employees wanting to find meaning in their work. Well, there's definitely more meaning in their work when employees feel like they're being brought in on building something as opposed to just taking orders. So
right, or just it's like, great, do an employee lunch, do this, do that, but being that kind of collaborative. All right, how do we build this space? What do we do here? What do we do there? What's going to make it more engaging for you and as an employee to work here? So no, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's all we got, right?
Yes, it is.
That's a great first episode.
Although I have, no.
I predict big things for 5 Minutes Management in 2016.
I predict we'll maybe be on the air at the end of the year.
All right, well, that's all we got for this edition of 5 Minutes of Management. For Frank Kalman, we got Rick Bell. We'll see you guys next week.